Welcome to Ready Layer 2 with me, Get.Small. This is a podcast for the founders, innovators, and experimenters building the future of Web3 on Arbitrum. Hey, what's up, everybody? Get.Small here for the Ready Layer 2 podcast. I am joined by Sanko homie, Bucho Stan. You can see Ryan, an alternate name there on screen. And good to see you, sir. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to be here. Chat a bit about ChainCraft.
Yeah, I'm really pumped to dig into that. You are one of the just growing number of people that I run into on Sanko that is doing really cool stuff. And I just can't stop liking this community and this ecosystem more because everybody I meet is just frankly awesome and doing really cool stuff behind the scenes. And in your case, not just the tech stuff, but you're on a not-for-profit as well. And I'm just really excited to get to know you a little bit better, share you with the listeners and the folks joining us live here. For those of you watching live on Twitter, that's a secondary delivery here. You're welcome to watch there, but the better experience will be on Sanko TV. That's where we'll be watching the chats. And in the long run, that's where other things on the show will be happening. So I'm going to keep trying to funnel you over there. And if you listen to this after the fact, of course, get set up on Sanko TV and come hang out with us while we're recording these things. It's a good time. Just love to interact with everybody. With that, Bucho, what do you want me to call you throughout the course of the interview today?
Bucho's fine. Ryan's
Bucho.
fine.
All right.
Yeah, whatever you feel. Yeah, whichever one.
We'll stick with Sanko, with our Sanko name of Bucho, just because that's what people know what's going on when they walk in. So Bucho, let's back all the way out here. Obviously, we're going to be talking about ChainCraft Games. That's the point of the conversation, right? That's how we connected and what we're going to be talking about for a big part of this. But I want to back up and just learn a little bit more about you and your background. As I mentioned briefly there, you are actually the executive director of a not-for-profit. And again, to my point of, I keep being shocked how many cool and smart and awesome people I'm running into on Sanko. I want to talk a little bit about that. So let's start there. Why don't you tell us about Make Water? What is it? What do you guys do? And like the backstory, like how did you even get involved in that in the first place?
Yeah, so the backstory is Make Water. Well, MakeWater.org is a nonprofit where we actually challenge students to be citizen scientists and develop water purification kits. Like we have these DIY kits that use microbits, so they learn a bit about coding, learn actually 3D printing because the components are made by 3D printers, and water quality, water issues around the world. And it's like this outlet where if you're like maybe overcome by like climate change or water issues or just issues in general, this is like an outlet where we invite you to be part of the evolution of it, to learn with us, to grow it. And they do that. Students come in and have added sensors to our kits, upgraded the 3D printed components. And we love that with this like goal of them feeling like they're doing something. And then hopefully also connecting it with the passion they have and maybe even a career path. So that's what Make Water is all about. I got into it because my father's an immigrant that came in and was like he used to sell, or still does, industrial maintenance supplies all over Texas. And I would go around with them and join him in the summers when he was just driving around to different places. He would sell to like hospitals, schools, universities, and even water utilities. And I learned a lot about industrial processes. And over time, we learned about this fun technology of purifying water with electricity or electrolysis. And the easiest thing to point to is there's air ionizers that like can capture some things in the air. It's like the same premise, but underwater. Okay. And you use these electrodes to actually coagulate water, pollutants in water. And so it started there, being interested in that. And from there, I learned about makerspace, learned about coding because I was just like wanting to tinker with it. And our water utility was like, you are like self-taught and all these things about like makerspace and open source, and it'd be a great like way to educate students. So I shifted from really focusing on the tech to like focusing on the education. So that's a long answer, but
yeah, that's a good answer.
Make Water.
That's the story. That's pretty cool. So obviously you're a tinkerer by nature then, right? Like, cause you just started doing that. That was just a progression that you went through. So I think that's awesome to impart that on kids, right? Like just whatever it is that you're teaching them, if you're teaching them that you can take things and put them together and make them the way that you want them to be. Like anyway, and you do that with components that do water filtration, or you do that with even teach them how to make a YouTube video, whatever it is that they're learning how to do. I just like when kids realize that they can have an impact and they can change the way the world works to make it the way they want. So Anytime you get an opportunity to do that, I think it's awesome. What age are the kids that you're working with?
We started with like high school age, but some of our kits have been able to let us work with, like we did a partnership that let us do curriculum for even elementary school kids.
Mm-hmm.
But our codable kits, the microbit kits, are really good at like middle school, high school, and even higher education. For depending on, you can bring to the table what level of difficulty you want your project to be, or how you participate.
Gotcha. How would you quantify or explain the goals of the organization? What
Yeah.
do you hope? Obviously, you want to teach people. You're interested in the water filtration, but is there a goal? Is there a target? We exist. What's the mission?
Yeah, the mission aligns with like how many students we reach, and some of our like we aspire to have them be able to go on a career path. So for instance, if you go to our website, one of the videos is of a student who the educator reached out to us years later. You should go interview the student because he went on to study environmental science in big part from our project or our nonprofit. And so we find those to be success stories because he was like, I didn't even know that could be a job. I really am passionate about that. And it wasn't all us. It was definitely partly the teacher was also a really
Mm-hmm.
wonderful teacher, but just that collaboration with us and educators and finding that level. It can be tricky because the school systems can be really difficult to try to find that like something fun and engaging, but then you also have to hit like standards or something like
Yeah, I could see that.
school standards. So we try to find that sweet spot. But yeah, our ultimate goal is just how many students can we reach and can we help them maybe learn a bit more about something they're passionate about. And it doesn't always mean what they do fits with our project, but when it fits,
Mm-hmm.
it's like pretty wonderful.
Gotcha. Very cool. And how did you say how long you've been doing it for?
I've been doing this for maybe over 8 years. It's
Oh
been a
wow.
while.
Okay. So
Yeah.
that's it. So you're
We
deep
actually
in
went
the journey.
to the White House Water Summit a long time ago with the water utility.
It's pretty neat. So in that 8-year time, what's been the impact on you? Like what have you learned? What's changed about you? What surprised you?
Yeah, I think I've learned a lot about like just admin stuff, like how to run a nonprofit, like
Mm-hmm.
boards and
Yeah.
a lot of like less fun things. But I've also found like where's that balance of meeting educators to provide something that's very like non-intimidating because like some coding kits, like educators, I don't want to work on the coding aspect, but they can do other things that like our kits are plug and play. So we
Mm-hmm.
did that. We make curriculum that they can adjust and fix it to their way of teaching. So those are some big things. It's just like being able to evolve with them and evolve with the input of the participants, the students, the educators. I've learned a lot about how schools work and how water utilities work. And yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting project to say the least. And yeah, there's always that component of anything cool that you want to do. That's like the not cool part that has to be done to support it. So I
Yeah.
can, learn about that and the board management and filing forms with the government and all that fun stuff. Yeah, that always comes with the territory. No matter what you're doing, there's some of that, right?
Yeah. I want to add to it also that there's this ed tech side that kind of crosses over into the blockchain space where like I would learn about calls for nonprofit donations, and I learned about endowment, which is a great like way to get donations. They set up a wallet with you and they actually get funding that come in from the blockchain and put it into your bank so you don't have to like actually touch the blockchain money because that can sometimes be tricky with finances and like how to log that. So they just put it right into your bank as cash. But not only that, like I found out, or we were able to get like funding from Art Blocks a while ago, NounceDAO. Like they've been
neat.
all very supportive. And we just pitched our projects. They help us make these kits during COVID that actually fit in an envelope and purified water. But that's also where as I was getting into blockchain tech, I was like, there's potential here for nonprofits to look into like collaborating and getting funding and things like that. So I've tried to share that with other nonprofits as well.
That's pretty neat. Now, we're like Zao and other like organizations like that. Are they interested in it because of that little bit of blockchain component, or are they interested in it just as a general? Yeah, this is a good idea, and
I think it's a mix.
Kind of community
Like,
give back.
Yeah, sometimes it's a mix of like getting new people to understand. Like we explain a little bit about blockchain with the people, the students that we worked with when we got these kits for them, where they came from. So I think it's a little bit about the project's cool. They believed in us, and also the exposure of the nouns, and also just being able to educate a little bit more about blockchain or just more exposure to people that may normally not have exposure to blockchain or understand it.
Gotcha. Yeah. And yeah, I think a lot of the exposure people get to it is just the hearing of like when things are ripping or when things are falling apart, talking about the speculative side of it and don't understand that the technology behind it is used to do things, not just blind investments. So I think that is an interesting angle to it. Now, like, how did the Noun Style, for example, get exposure? Was it just sponsored by Noun Style, or did you talk about them in some way within the course of the program?
It was more like just sponsored by, like they didn't
Okay.
really, like we didn't have to go on a whole spiel about them. They were very kind and like just
That's
believing
cool.
in our project. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting. That's kind of like an unexpected little wrinkle to
Yeah.
all this. I like that. Okay, very cool. So, throughout the course of that, I know you do some video editing work and things like that too. Has that
Mhm.
all evolved as part of Make Water, or is that something else that you've been doing on the side?
That is like another layer. Like you got the layer 2 podcast. It's another layer
Yeah.
to who I am. Like I am a tinker, but I have always been passionate about film and storytelling. So, like, I studied photography and radio, television, film in school. I got an internship in New York with my favorite directors, Michel Gondry. He did Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, a lot of
Oh, nice.
music videos with the White Stripes and Kanye West, and I had I have a passion for video and storytelling. And I actually, early on with Make Water, wanted to do a documentary series following this process. And honestly, like that ended up also taking a back seat. We have done a lot of vignettes and videos and storytelling, but the
Mm,
education side and the working with students just took the forefront of that. But wherever I get the chance to have my passion come out and apply it to progress something that I believe in is like a wonderful time. And that's where I'll make videos. Like one of our best videos for Make Water won a film festival award. And it was made because I wanted to be able to tell it where I couldn't. Maybe if I wasn't good at communicating, I was like, well, I can put it in a video. And that actually was very helpful in opening a lot of doors for us. Just watch this video. If you're interested or you're inspired, that's the point. If it works and figure out who we are, where we're coming from, and why you might want to participate in this nonprofit program. That's what the video is there for. And I have done that with
yeah.
ChainCraft too. A lot of the people I worked with in New York, I worked at a video production company, also graphic design company.
Mm.
I wasn't good at graphic design, but I made some wonderful friends who have also helped me with the Make Water branding and now also the ChainCraft branding. And I made a video for that too that maybe we could share later.
Yeah, 100%. We definitely will do that. And I think the point should be made to the listeners. Yeah, the video, like you just said, the video is a great way. It's a very low risk way for somebody to engage with you too, right? If they're giving you, people don't always want to be sold to, but they will spend a few minutes watching a video without you in their face if you make that available to them. And it's a little bit more comfortable, I found, for some folks. And it's just a great way to get across to people because everyone's busy, everyone's being sold on stuff all the time. It removes a lot of that friction in my experience. So I do think that's a really important point to call out for those of you who are trying to do things, trying to get a message out. You should think about that. So when does blockchain come into all this? When did you start getting into blockchain, crypto, and everything else?
Yeah, I think it's heard about Bitcoin so long ago, did not jump into it early on, didn't really understand it at first. But I think I got in at the beginning of the last bull run or maybe the middle. It was, what was it? It was a sandbox. Like I heard about the sandbox land sales and you could buy land. And then I tried it and I saw all of a sudden, oh, like it just went all up in this value. And I was like, what is this? I don't get it. Like
Mm,
why? So then that got me into NFTs. Like I learned about just NFTs, blockchain. And I just, once I got that feeling of this is the internet dawning all over again,
yep.
like having lived through how the internet evolved and progressed. I was one of those kids that was on AOL and even Prodigy before that, just like tinkering around and like,
Right.
whoa, this is so cool. I got that vibe from blockchain. And so I just would listen to podcasts, watch stuff on YouTube, and little by little learning about, oh, a lot of people are hanging out on Twitter and then following people. And so, yeah, I went down that rabbit hole just because I was really excited about the projects that were coming out. I always want to know what are some cool projects that will like take this to the next level. I don't know. And yeah, I just went down that rabbit hole and have been here ever
Yeah.
since.
Yeah. My story is very similar as like just started tinkering and it just found really cool stuff and kind of had that same feeling to this changes things like this. I don't know exactly how. I don't know how it's going to manifest itself in the long run, but it came clear to me pretty quickly. I was like, that there's something here that I want to be a part of. Just started playing. And yeah, I think for most of us, once you get into that rabbit hole, you just keep burrowing deeper and deeper and deeper. And
Yeah.
then we do interviews on Sanko TV. So
And
good
here we
stuff,
are.
man. All right, so let's start talking about ChainCraft then. Let's just start with the simple. Who is it for? What does it do? Or do you want to start with the video? I'll let you make the call.
Yeah. No, I'll just explain it. ChainCraft is a AI-powered game development set of tools built on the blockchain. I guess it's as simple as we can put it. I think it was built because of just the time and place we're at right now. And yeah, it's meant to really be able to have game developers and of all shapes and sizes and even artists be able to create games via components. Like we break down the game into components. And if you're an expert at logic or mechanics or coding, you can focus on what you're good at, and either AI or other people through them building components can help build the rest out with you. And so it's this vision that we have that we're chipping away at and have like a roadmap, like to start slow and steady, but we have this growth path that we're excited about. And and it all starts on Sanko. We love Sanko. We love the community. I feel like I'm trying to tell you too many things at once. Maybe I should show
No,
you
I
the
know how it
video.
goes.
I'm
All
going
right,
all
why don't
over
we
the
do the
place.
video? You should be able to
Let's
share
see.
at the bottom of your screen there. We'll go do the video, and then
Yeah.
we'll start to take it apart.
Yeah, hear it.
All right, ChainCraft. I hear that you can make a video game from scratch, like with AI. Is that right?
That's right. We're starting with simple card games and working our way to more advanced game types over time.
So, how exactly do you build a game?
Games are created by dividing them up into modular components, like art, mechanics, and sound design. You can build each component from scratch with AI assistance or purchase it from the marketplace.
And how can I make some revenue from the games or components that I've built?
These components live on the blockchain, giving you complete ownership to sell, share, or earn royalties from their use. This is but a glimpse of what ChainCraft can become. We're building it to empower developers, gamers, and dreamers. What masterpiece will you cook up?
So you're modularizing this like you did with the water kits, right? So how much of ChainCraft is resembling the type of work that you've done with Make Water, or is like an extension of that type of thinking? Because it sounds very similar.
Yeah, I had not thought about it in that way of the modular side of it. I think some things that I'm excited about that crossover are like the potential for like educators to utilize this tool and make games for education. But that's cool. I think there's a bit of that, and also a bit of an approach of how I grew Make Water definitely applies here. I will say a little bit of like how we started. So I have an old friend, Matt Daly, who has been in the game space for over 20 years. And he actually is somebody who I'm like his blockchain guy. Like I will chat and he doesn't know many people in blockchain, or we would just have these like meetups when he'd come into the city, and little by little I'd update him on the things that I know about or hear about. And he'd be like, oh, that's intriguing and stuff. And then this dawn of AI has happened. And at the same time, like his space, game devs are just like being laid off like crazy. Like budgets are being squeezed more and more. There's less risk happening. And there's also all these walled gardens for like game development platforms or places to develop games. They have a high take rate. So it's like risky for people to build in them. And so all these things together culminated in like one of our brainstorming sessions or just chats. Like I was like, I think we could do something here. And that's where sort of ChainCrafts began many months ago. It was like first iterated, can we do this? How would that look? And then he brought on Dev Eric, who is he's a full stack dev, been doing that for 27 years. And also has like ever since AI started becoming a big thing, he really has dove in deep into that too. So he's like our AI guy. So I feel like this is a great combination of team members with each their like professional or like knowledge in that realm. And we came up with the idea of let's try to take an open source approach. Let's try to see if we can have AI agents work on each specific aspect of a game. And so that's where it started from. And that's the path we want. On the blockchain, because we want there to be this trust, we want there to be this ownership that the game devs, but then also the artists and the musicians and sound design people, like all these people that are required to make a game, we want to see if we can have them be able to collaborate, remix, work together. But then if they made this component, they mint it, that's their component, they can decide like how to do royalties if it's used in a game. There's a lot that we're still going to find out as we grow, but we have a route that we're really excited about taking to try that out.
Yeah, it's a pretty neat concept. Though that was one of the first use cases that I got excited about here was artists being able to make royalties on their work and being able to distribute their work and have a lot of control over how that happens. And obviously that stuff's played out in weird ways over the last year or two with the royalties, but the concept is really sound to me. And I love the idea of someone being able to create something of value and then see some residual income from that as it continues to give value to other people and that value is transferred and grows, et cetera. I think that's a really cool concept. And I think that applies real neatly to components that you could plug into a game, whether those be different visual components or even like rendering components, or there's a lot of different things. That's what we'll dig into here that you can compartmentalize and modularize, and being able to have royalties on those in the long run is a really cool concept. I do like that. So I'm hearing that this is a tool to help you build the thing in the first place, right? So it's going to help you write code. These AI agents, are you like making specialized AI agents to do different aspects of what it takes to build a video game? Is that right?
Correct.
Can you
Yes.
kind of elaborate on that? What are those aspects? If you can name like the
Yeah.
ones.
So right now it's very basic. It's broken down into like logic mechanics, like the game spec. What are the rules of the game? And actually, like our first one that we've tested out and tinkered with is live on our Discord, where you can go in and make a simulation of a game spec. You talk to the AI agent, you say, I'd like to make a game about rainbows and unicorns for my daughter. And honestly, right now, everything's built around card games. That's going to be our first like level or like first type of game, because we wanted to start somewhere that was a little less complex and then build upon that. So right now, if you go to our Discord, you can it's very simple, but you chat with the AI and it comes up with whatever you don't fill in, it'll fill in the rest. It'll be like, the game could look like this, 2 players or more. You collect these cards, you use it for these rules, and you can keep fine tuning it and then publish it in our Discord or share it with everybody. And it'll create like a little image generated based on your prompt and what you worked out. And so that's at least our first something that we can tinker with and see in action. And we want to do that with graphics and art. So say, like for right now, we're working with an artist for our very first game asset launch, which honestly, we haven't chatted about that with anybody yet. But the idea is this artist will imprint her style in an AI Laura, I guess it's called. Eric's a bit more the AI person, but this artist, and hopefully in the future, any artist can imprint their style on this like Laura. That is the part that is utilized. So if I want to make a game, like a card game again, this unicorn and rainbows, maybe it matches her style, something similar, like playful. So I find her on the marketplace because maybe I don't know how to do that. So I like her style. So I'll say, yeah, let's implement that. Or I own the NFT and I'd be able to, like, it's allowed that I can use it because I have the NFT that she made. And you can say, let's change the card backs of the game to be unicorns, and use this style of hers, of this NFT, of this component, and change the board deck. And maybe you get another NFT and say, I'd like the board deck to be this style instead. So that's the idea of how we want to utilize these game components. And then again, sound and music, another big factor too. Have people come in where if you don't find one on the marketplace you like, AI can just spin one up for you and you could tweak it with them. But I do want to say in the AI space, there's a lot of people that are anti or pro, but I think at the end of the day, there's like artists really, they have a unique style, a vision, a taste. Like taste is not something you can really get out of AI. Just it's a tool. And if you combine it with with artists who have good taste or have their own unique style, I think that's a good match right there.
Yeah, I think that's really intriguing, and I think does open up that whole conversation, because you're right. There's a lot of people out there, artists that are concerned that these AI models are consuming their work and incorporating them into things that they're producing, which I don't know if the concern's more, it's probably a blend, right? Of you're diluting my work, right? You're in some way they might feel like they're being stolen from. And certainly if somebody's taking that and then making money off of it and they're not, they could definitely feel like they're being taken advantage of. So I definitely understand where some of the hesitation comes from it. But on the flip side, I also understand like following some of the AI artists and the way they talk about it is like, this is just my medium. Like my art is my expression. It's what I am trying to communicate through the piece. And I use prompts. You use paintbrushes. Yeah, but it's still, I'm still communicating my message and I'm producing the thing out. And like their argument is you're thinking about it all wrong, which I can totally get on board with too. But this concept of being able to, it's almost like you're training your own model that represents you in a sense, and then making it available to people on your terms. And that doesn't eliminate somebody else from consuming your output in the way that they want to in a different model. But this could create a marketplace for people who, one, want to put their work out there this way, think it's neat, think it's cool, want to be able to serve people in this way. But it could be like a good market for people too who want to consume it, but don't want to feel like that they're taking advantage of somebody. You might find that kind of sweet spot where it solves both of those problems and creates a unique market for you. So I think that's super fascinating. Obviously, yeah, it extends to music very easily in the same regard, right? This is my style. This is, I assume you like train the model on a bunch of music produced by some composer or some artist, and then it generates new stuff based on prompts, I would assume. But
that's the idea, where there's like that initial base that's that style of that artist, and maybe you can tweak it a little bit, but it's like maybe 90% the artist, 10% you. And again, a lot of this is still hasn't been built out yet, but these are the concepts and ideas.
No, that's really neat. Yeah, because you could, obviously, if you pick, I don't know, I'm going to draw blanks on artists off the top of my head, but if you pick the person that drew the Garfield cartoons for the Saturday morning TV shows back in the 80s versus Salvador Dali as your source artist, you're going to get a pretty different look and feel, right? Like, it's going to change everything. And that's pretty cool to be able to do that. That's how, like today, if you go out onto Fiverr or something like that, and you're looking for an artist to do a piece for you, you look at their work and you say, do I like that style or not? It's a similar kind of concept. It's just a different way for those artists to produce their work or to make their work available. And what's cool about it is it's like, I don't know, it's extending to them a new potential revenue stream too. If I'm an artist, I can only produce as much art as I can produce. But if I choose to make my work available in this way and I get some residual income from it, it's interesting in that regard too. Like it allows them to, everyone always says, I wish I could clone myself. In a way, AI might give us a way to clone our abilities and make them available like this. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it'll be really neat to see how it plays out. We want to be able to like learn from the artists and the collaborations that we have and just see how we can best grow this and do that to where the artists feel comfortable and can focus on what they're good at and be happy that they're hopefully getting like revenue or paid from their projects. And then again, like building in this way, we aim to have something that's not so much a walled garden, so that you want to take your game somewhere else, you can, because that's just another layer of like trust. And if somebody were to come and grow somewhere or build or take time to build somewhere, but then all of a sudden rules or terms can change if you're building like in Roblox or Fortnite or something like that. And then the take rate is just crazy. That's another level of this too, is like our model is to maybe get fractions of fees from the marketplace and also have our tools be like a subscription model for maybe higher end developers that maybe want something more nitty gritty or more complex. But we also want to make it accessible to those who just want to come and tinker and build, try new things. And I'll add to like our Discord, like just toying around with that bot, and maybe like anybody who's ever messed with any kind of AI bot, like you'll get some goofy stuff if you're just messing around. And I think that is going to be a fun area too, where what kind of game mechanics may come about that nobody ever thought of, or are silly or new, or try to break it, try to think of something completely out of the box. That's also what we were excited about very early on, is what if there's like a new game mechanic that nobody's ever thought of, or somebody has thought of but had no way to apply it or go through the time and energy to build it out. If we can make it as easy as possible to be able to try new mechanics and new rules, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah,
One of the games, I'm trying to think, on Discord, I was learning our bot for a second, and I was like, I typed in, "Is it over?" And it thought that was my prompt for the game. And so it's like, this game is called Is It Over? And it's 2-player game, and y'all have a deck of cards, and each card says yes or no. And then one person asks, "Is it over?" And the other person flips a card, and it either says yes or no. And then you have to guess if they're correct, if it is over, in fact, or it's not. So it's like a silly concept for a game that we all laughed at as Is It Over game. And it's just so weird. And
no, that's the interesting
silly
thing about using ChatGPT or any of these kind of LLM models. Because they're conversational, they're like, it's like that idea. If you ever heard people talk about improv, like improv, the move is always yes and, right? Like you never reject the idea. You never shut it down. You always flow with it. And that's the thing that you can, like in brainstorming with, I do this on ChatGPT all the time, to be honest with you, is I'll go in and I'll say, here's the space we're thinking about today. You're an expert in this area. We're preparing to give a talk on healthcare is my main business. I was giving a talk on AI and healthcare. And I went and I said that. It was like, this is the audience. We're going to go talk to a bunch of eye doctors. There's going to be 100 of them, regional conference. And they have this level of understanding of AI, and these are the things I want to talk to them about. Are you ready to have a conversation with me? It's basically like I'll prime it to have that conversation, and then I'll bounce the ideas off it. I'll say, this is something that this is something I've observed and I believe to be true, and I want to share with them, poke holes in it. And it'll roll with it and do it. So I could see doing that with a game concept 100%. Like you can go in there and say, I've been thinking about this game. Here's some of the concepts. Here's the setting. It's like medieval knights and it's this or whatever it is, like whatever, because you have this vision in your head, right? But sometimes you try to explain it to your friend or your girlfriend or your whoever, and they're like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I can't follow you on this. And it shuts it down. But the AI won't do that. The AI will say, is it over game? Let's do this.
Exactly. It'll take it.
Yeah. So I think that could absolutely lead to some really interesting concepts. And it just, it gives you a way to get all of those nutty ideas out of your head without anybody slowing you down, if you will, or trying to stop you.
And if you get it first, if you come up with this fun concept first, like it'll be on the blockchain. You can prove I did this one first. Here I am with this game.
Yeah, I like that. Let's expand on that though. So obviously, if you come up with this, we'll roll with that, this concept for a game, and that becomes like a concept in your marketplace or however it's going to work, and it gets minted so I can prove it. Like, what does that do for me, I guess? Obviously, within the marketplace, your platform can decide how to steer things around. But let's talk about that first, but then let's even talk about the broader potential.
Yeah. So I guess from a game maker standpoint, they will, if there are layers to this, like if I were to create a card game and I wanted to add maybe one aspect, some mechanic from this person that created that, you could almost plug it in. Like it's almost like having a formula of all these different components put together. Like it may be two or more graphical components. It may be like the mechanics or logic. Maybe you created a big part on your own because you had this idea, and then you're like, this one's really cool, but he created it. I'd like to add that here. And this still has to be figured out, but like how that percentage of royalties would be paid out if I were to create that game and sell that game. But that is the idea or the foundation of it, is that it goes in that way, that you can put these components together and then output a game, the game code that can go to different platforms. That's more Eric's realm, but he has explained it a bit that we would like you to be able to play it on our platform as well. And we want to build this on Senko, by the way. So a shout out to Senko. We haven't talked about Senko much at all.
No,
you could build it there, or take the code and maybe submit it to Steam or submit it to something else so that you're not in our walled garden at least.
Yep.
But that's the thought process. So if you are the logic maker of these components, like maybe you just come up with one little sliver that's really cool and that's what you're good at. You're like, I'm an idea person. I want to try this out. That you can create and mint those components, and they're up on the marketplace. So maybe you are sharing about it online and be like, if you're building this game, try it out, or you've created the game and you show off that particular component like aspect or what new logic you've created, like maybe messing with time in a card game or messing with I don't know, the mechanics are crazy because you can do so many new things that maybe have never even been thought of.
Yeah.
And the same goes for art and music, is that you can add those layers and have those components. And then down the line, as games get more complex, we may add like a narrative section or voice or things like that. But we want to start, like, we really were like, how can we start off simple, small, and it's still not overly simple, but what is like a game that has a market, but it's less complex than like a platformer or some 3D. It's card games. Like, card games are fun. You can own the digital card assets. Even those cards, maybe somebody can design just the card assets. We'll see about that. But
yeah, okay.
That's where we want to start, is with card games.
Gotcha. There's a lot of components to all of this. And this is, I think, one of the big things that people struggle with when they're trying to build something, they're trying to start a platform, a company, whatever it is, that, like, how do you prioritize the pieces and how do you work through them step by step so that each way, like, you're providing some value to somebody and then you're building on it and you're building on it, you're building on it. So what's the approach to that? Obviously, right now you've got this, is it fair to say, a prototype functionality, if you will, in the Discord, so somebody can come in and see what it's like?
Yeah,
so
really early phase to see what working with an AI assistant for a particular component, which is the game spec, the logic. And our pathway to that right now is actually, I haven't talked about this outside of anything, so I don't mind talking about it here because we are starting to get closer to it, but we would like to launch our very first game asset as a mint, as something that anybody can come and mint it, and that game asset will be our very first one that can be applied to future games in the future, so you can see how that works.
So that might be like an object in a game, or do you have an idea what it is?
Right now, we're aiming at it being the art Laura, the art with an artist. So we're talking with different artists to collaborate with them and be like making this cornerstone mint. There will be a lot of perks that this mint will have that no other mints will have, since it's like our Kickstarter, our cornerstone, almost like a founder's mint. If you have this, you'll get some perks depending on rarity, but you would get like early access. You will get maybe access to future mints by future artists that maybe we highlight or collaborate with. And as well as like maybe some of the legendary ones may have like our highest tier subscription model to building with our AI tools. So our first step is that mint, both to introduce you to how this works with game components. And with the artist, we'll lay down the foundation of the look and feel of that Laura. But you, as the creator, the holder of the NFT, when it comes time to reveal, you will be prompted to add your little 10% or your little flair of yours, and then it'll reveal to be a mixture of the artist and yours.
Are you thinking like single artist for this first mint, and then however many of them, everybody adds their 10%? That's what makes them unique and special.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then,
that's pretty cool.
So then it'll be like a kickstart to help fund us to get to the next phase too. There's other methods that we're working on, but this one is one of those. It's just like a Kickstarter. We're going to tell you that these are the things that we're going to try to do with this funding. And that's just to get right to building that game that everybody can start playing with. And that will be the first initial card game, which I can't go too far into because it's still like something that we are tweaking, but it'll be this experience where you utilize the mint that you made and can apply that art to the game or something like that. And so we're excited about taking that approach. Did I miss more from that question of yours?
No, I don't.
More? Okay.
I don't think so. No, that's we are progressing through, but what I was after there in terms of the next steps, there's more to it. And what else? So you said that's step 2, at least in the way that you guys decided to order them. Like at that point, like once those 2 things are done, I probably still can't come and do much more than that, right? Now I got this NFT, that's the Kickstarter, that's for you guys to do dev, and I'm going to be part of a community, probably giving feedback, playing with tools that you release on Discord, but I can't go build a game just yet. That's
not yet.
Part of this.
Yeah, I think when the game builder comes, it'll be that first point where you can utilize that NFT, but it'll be an experience that we make accessible to everybody, but the NFT holders will have probably early access to it and a little bit more depth to that experience. By having that. But
Do you have a
that,
sense for what comes after that? What's the step 3 in the progression, if you will, for allow me to keep
if I were
oversimplifying
to,
things?
it's not official, but we want to get to the point as soon as possible where people can create components. Like it'll probably be more in the realm of logic and mechanics based
Mhm.
around card games.
Yep.
So my guess would be like if you have an idea for tweaking a mechanic or a game idea, we'd like to get there sooner than later.
Hmm.
But we're also including artists. So it's like those are in parallel. Like it'd be great to include artists to start having their components so you can layer that art onto these games, this card
Mhm.
game.
Yep.
But I really want us to get to that because that'll be the fun part. It's just you can simulate it on our Discord, but to actually be able to like maybe play an early iteration of trying out a mechanic, we want to get there soon.
Yeah.
So you can mint it early, you can tinker with it. That'll be wonderful. I just can't give you an exact date or time. Or
Oh God, no. Yeah,
just
no.
yet, but we
I
have
wouldn't
different
expect to at this point.
routes for that. Yeah.
Yep. No, totally get it. And to be clear, like why I ask these questions is less for somebody who's listening right now and is, oh, I want to buy that NFT. I want to, I want to invest in this project. Not really that so much. That's interesting, obviously. And if people get that from this, great. But what I'm most interested in is like, how are you thinking about executing it as an operator? Like as someone who's trying to bring this idea to life, what is the progression of your thinking? So just for context, that's what I'm after. That's why I'm asking these questions. So yeah, the fact that I'm not looking for timelines or promises or anything like that, it's just like, how are you thinking about taking this thing apart and building it and putting it back together in a way that makes sense to value,
And I'll
right?
add to that, we really want, there's some wonderful Discords out there where I've seen just devs like collaborate on things, and we want to be able to open that up in our Discord as well. Have it be a place where if you're a dev, you can come and chat and help us build this, because it's going to be one of those things that it is going to involve the community. Like we don't want to build it on our own, like in a dark room with nobody able to hear. I mean, there might be little aspects of that just because we don't want to promise something and then have to pivot or change, because I know people hate that in the space, even though that's part of growing a business or a company or a project.
Yeah.
But we also have seen a lot of stuff just not be very open and transparent. We're going to try to find that balance. And we really think the Discord and people chatting with us in there, like we want to listen to the community, grow with them, and to have them be a part of it.
Okay. No, very cool. Now, do you see this as a tool for the non-coder or the coder, or are you not even really thinking about that?
It's both. I know Matt has the game industry background. He's really, really focused on the dev side. And I am thinking of we all are still thinking on the same place, but I am always thinking of the everyday person, the person that loves building on Roblox or like any game that's just like, if you make it fun and they can build stuff and enjoy the process of building, like we want it to be available to them, accessible. So the blockchain side of this is going to be there, but we want it to be easy for Web 2 because it's going to involve Web 2 people. It's going to involve the people that have never dealt with blockchain. And we want to make it simple for them to just work on what they're good at and learn blockchain over time, but not that, to really not have that be much of a friction point. And like so that video that you saw, it's a vignette about a dev. And we have other vignettes that we can make smaller videos in the future as part of this like video series. We think we can do these little vignettes. One of them hits close to home because I'm a dad of 2 girls, and I'm like, it'd be great to show off. It'd be wonderful if ChainCraft got to this point where you can just do like, I'm feeling lucky, I'll just do a 1 prompt and see what game it comes up with for me. Like it does all of it AI streamline. And that's again, back to the unicorn and rainbows. Oh, I want to make, hey, ChainCraft, can you make a educational card game for my daughter? And she's 5 years old, like something that she could learn something. And then maybe it'll ask you a thing or two, or maybe it'll just be like, here's what we came up with on the fly. And we're making like that being one of those like vignettes. So we want accessible for all those.
Mad Lib style game building. Just fill out, give me a noun, give me a verb, give me your favorite movie. And then here's your game for today. That'd be pretty spectacular.
That would be wonderful. And then I even think about it in terms of educators. I've talked with some educators about this project. Like it'd be cool to just make a game about the water cycle. It'd be cool to make a game about math, or you know what I mean? Like If it's really the speed, almost the speed of thought, I think I got that from like Robert Rodriguez, the director. I think he used to say that, speed of thought. But if you can build something, iterate quickly, and just have it ready for your class or for whatever particular reason, that would be phenomenal.
I do like that, because that is something that, again, with the large language models, like they're good at chewing and producing language, right? So you can go to it and take a problem that's hard and say, I'm a science teacher, and today we're going to be learning about cumulus clouds. I want to make a fun interactive game for third graders that will help them learn these 3 things about cumulus clouds, but I want it to be fun and rewarding, and there's a scoring system. What can we do? And if you have that conversation with the game engine or the thing that's in the Discord right now, it's going to give you an idea, a fairly one that would be fairly developed, right? And then what you do is you say, that's great, but I don't really like this aspect. What if we change that to this, and then keep working it that way? Like, that would be a really difficult thing to say, I'm going to make a game to help my kids learn about cumulus clouds in third grade class next week, but it would be possible to do that. And I don't think you'd find someone easy to help you get there other than an AI. So I think that creates some really interesting possibilities.
Yeah. People are already like making games, like outputting games with AI. It takes a lot of knowing AI, like how to output it and this and that. And the games are pretty rigid, but we want to really streamline that process. And then again, add that layer of you owning what you've created and be able to monetize it or have a little bit of a revenue stream. We think all this kind of lines up together really well.
Now, did you say you were building on Sanko's L3, or are you like, where is this all going to live?
Yeah, it's going to live on Sanko. Like that's where our NFT first game asset launch is going to be. That's where we're building.
Okay, very cool.
Love
so you
the
got
community. That was a whole other conversation we could have had, and probably a lot of people within our community know, just like there's a lot of brilliant people in this community.
There really is.
It's fun, it's silly, but like the stuff they're making makes sense. You want to support the other projects that you see in there because you just hear from those people, see the progress. They feel like cousins, as some people say.
Yeah, there's a lot of cousins being thrown around.
So I have great things to say about Sun. It's just a fun place to build.
I
also think it's a filter from the whole other world of blockchain. I feel like launching here makes sense, and having it first be accessible to the Senko community is privilege. I feel like it's great.
Tell me more about that. Like, how do you see it as a filter?
Because I think you have to learn about Senko. You have to bridge Senko. You have to stay there or be in the Discord and all that. And a lot of the people in there are either supportive or are building something or are also intrigued and see that Sanko's ecosystem has really got something unique and different going for it. Yeah. And it's hard in this space. There's so many projects, but I'll delve into things here and there. And a lot of times it's a bummer that you see just like surface level things being built or vaporware, or you get these red flags from certain projects that it might just take a veteran or some time having been in this space and burned. That here, I just feel Sanko, you get less of that, and you just get, at the very end of the day, a little bit more fun, and the things that they're building and then the other things that people are building on the chain just feel a little bit more genuine or unique, or all those things.
Okay. Yeah, no, I feel
nothing's
a lot of that
perfect
too.
as far as blockchain goes.
Oh, no.
But like I
Nothing's
really
perfect in terms of anything, right?
Definitely vibe in the Senko.
Yeah, no, I feel a lot of that too. And I think that it's just like, I continue to be surprised by how many people are doing neat and interesting things we haven't seen. Cause you don't know, like when we're all running around talking about Sanko pets and eating square fruits and, going to Bella Ciao or doing all that kind of like just silly stuff. Like, it's cool that, actually the dev, Lady Maker Game Boy, on Twitter, was ranting a bunch yesterday about all this stuff. The one thing that really grabbed me was he said something along the lines of like, most of these games aren't here because of like the love of the technology and the love of the art form that it enables. And that really resonated with me. Like, that's actually what I really like about what's happening on Sanko is they're just doing weird and interesting shit, but they're doing it with using all of this technology to create like economies and things. They're just like, it's just cheeky and fun and weird on the surface, behind it, it's like there's a lot of serious stuff happening. It's just it's an art form, the way that they're using the technology to build out this economy, but do it in a fun way, do it in a unique way, something different than everywhere else. So that's what I feel like. That just like it kind of helped me articulate a lot about what I love about Sanko and the way the team's building in the community. But like I said in the beginning, I just keep running into people one after the other that I've been bumping around into on Sanko TV or whatever here and there. And then I find out what they're doing. I'm like, oh shit, this is like a serious operator, right? This is, and it's not even just someone dabbling around with technology. Like you're like a very serious person trying to build something of value, and you're doing big work behind the scenes. And that just keeps happening. That's what I keep finding over and over again. And I think that there's probably even a higher concentration of it here than I've even detected yet, based on my experience. That's what I'm starting to believe. So yeah, I'm bullish, as they say. I think there's gonna be some really cool shit coming out of Sanko because of that, because of the people that are quietly building cool stuff in the background. So no, really good stuff. So I mean, we're pretty much right up on time here. In terms of next steps for the community, for the listener, for anybody who's here watching live right now, like what is the call to action to them? Get in the Discord and start playing with the tool, or what would you like to have people do coming out of here?
Yeah, I would love, first and foremost, it'd be wonderful to have you in the Discord if you want to like be a part of the conversation, be part of building. That's really where it's going to happen. Love to have you follow us on Twitter, because both those places we're going to be sharing updates. And yeah, just pay attention there. And then again, I haven't said this on Twitter or even in the Discord, but we will be having our initial game asset launch coming up soon. Can't say when, but we're working on it. We're really excited about that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay. But then Discord, best way to find the Discord is just off of the Twitter page, right?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. So you can follow them on Twitter. I'll make sure all those links are in show notes and all that good stuff. But Chainlink Games, it's just at ChainCraft. Chainlink, sorry. I knew I was going to do that at some point.
Yeah. That's all good.
That's what editing's for. ChainCraft. So is it just at ChainCraft? I have it right here.
Yeah, it's at ChainCraft Games. And our website is chaincraft.games.
Okay, cool. And I saw there is a place you can pop an email address and get on a list on the website as well.
Yes, yet another way. I feel like in Web3, I haven't done many. I understand when people don't want to share their email and stuff, but it is another option.
It's a really powerful tool.
It is.
Coming from the Web2 world. No, it's definitely worth trying for, no doubt. Okay, so get connected, get in there, check out the Discord, make up some crazy games, and test this thing out and follow along. But no, I think the project's awesome. Thank you so much for reaching out. I appreciate you. And to any of you other Sanko builders out there who are quietly in the shadows doing cool shit right now, if you want to come talk about it, hit me up. I'd love to have you on, find out what you got going on. And same thing. See, what do you need? What do you need from the community? How can we help you get this thing moving along? So Ryan, awesome to meet you. Thank you for sharing. Best of luck to you throughout. If you need anything, holler, right? And as you make progress, let's come back and talk about it.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm really happy to be here and excited to share this with other people too. So yeah, thanks.
All right, very good. To all of you who joined us live here today, and to all of you listening or watching after the fact, thank you as always for checking out Ready Layer 2 podcast. Get on Sanko, come join us live next time, and we'll have a good time. Appreciate y'all. Have a good day. Thank you for listening to Ready Layer 2. If you're an Arbitrum builder with a story to share, then hit me up on Twitter at GitSmall, GITSMOL. Learn more at gitsmall.com.